What is up, everybody? This is your guy Cly, and welcome back to Budget Buys. This is video number 6 in my Bugha review series, and that means I'm just about done. The only thing I have left to review are the gaming speakers, but for now I'm going to be focusing on the Bugha LED gaming mousepad. And even better, this is yet another item that I can get bonus points on, because fivebelow just so happens to carry another LED gaming mousepad, and this one just so happens to be brought to us by Vivitar. More and more of their products seem to be popping up in fivebelow these days, and I'm starting to wonder if they're just going to become one of fivebelow's brands at this point. I should also point out that the Vivitar mousepad is one of their normal $5 items, while the Bugha mousepad is a $10 item in their 5 Beyond series. Now, fortunately, these products are pretty straightforward in what they have on the back of the box. Each box has a little bit of different information that just so happens to be true for the other pad as well. So they kind of fill in the gaps with each other. On the Bugha mousepad, it says it has an RGB LED light that is color changing, whereas the Vivitar mousepad mentions that it has 12 lighting modes powered by a USB cable, which is included. The Bugha mousepad is low friction, while the Vivitar mousepad says that it has a textile surface designed for precise control and low friction. So, pretty much the same thing. The Bugha mousepad mentions that it is rollable and soft, and fortunately, while it is not mentioned on the Vivitar mousepad, the same can be said for that one. The Vivitar mousepad has an anti-slip rubber base that helps keep the mousepad in place, and while it's not mentioned on the Bugha box, that's true for this mousepad as well. The Bugha box mentions having an on-off switch, and once again, while not mentioned, the same is true for the Vivitar mousepad. And in case you're wondering, yes, the Bugha pad does also include its own USB cable. When it comes to the dimensions of these mousepads, the Bugha pad comes in at a whopping 31.5 inches by 11.8 inches, whereas the Vivitar pad is 13 inches by 10 inches. However, the sizes probably don't mean much to you because they're just numbers, so let's get these out of the box and show you just how different they are. And here is the Bugha pad. I had to zoom my camera out as far as physically possible with my setup to get everything on screen. But don't worry, I'm not going to be shooting the entire video like this because there are a few things I want you to see up close. I just wanted to capture the sheer size of this thing, especially when compared to the $5 mousepad. Now, the Bugha mousepad claims to have a size of 31.5 by 11.8 inches, so it's almost exactly 31.5 inches wide, even taking into account the LED filament around the edges. More on that later. And pretty much exactly 11.8 inches. Not bad. I'm used to there being a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to what's listed on the box. Now, this mousepad claims to be 13 by 10 inches, so we've got just shy of 13 inches. Like I said, I'm used to wiggle room. And it also might be due to the mousepad curling thanks to being in a box the entire time I've had it. And it is only about 9 inches tall. Huh. It claims to be 13 by 10. Is it counting this? Let's find out. So here? Yep. So it looks like the $5 mousepad is taking this into account for its length, whereas the Bugha mousepad does not. The plot thickens. And now I'm actually curious. Let's just see. Yeah, the power and control box on the Bugha pad bring it to almost exactly 32 inches. Interesting. Alright, now that I've shown you the size difference between these two mousepads, let's talk about some of these smaller details. First off, both mousepads talk about how they have a fabric topper, and as far as I can tell, they both seem to have the exact same material on top, and it definitely feels that way in all of the testing that I've done. As for the claims of reduced friction, yeah, I can definitely see that. I'll admit, I haven't used many mouse pads in the last few years. I typically just have my mouse on my desk, but I do like the feel of these better than just having my mouse on the table. Though, to contradict the box, it feels like I have a little bit more friction on the pad than I do on my desk, and that's giving me a higher degree of control, or at least a higher degree of perceived control. However, it definitely has lower friction than if I were to just use any random piece of cloth on my desk, especially one like the mat I typically record on. It's a nice middle ground. Also, both mouse pads have a practically identical rubber backing, and neither has tried to slip when I've had it on my desk. As for the LED effect, both mouse pads are using the exact same mechanism. What we have are LEDs embedded in this control box, which then shine their light through a piece of fiber optic or monofilament or whatever you want to call it, and that sends the light all around the mouse pad. In fact, let's hit the lights and show that off. What I'm going to do is rotate through all of the mouse pad settings in sequence, starting with the breathing setting you're seeing right now. Though, word of warning, these do not have the exact same settings, so while I will be cycling through, things are going to be a little bit different eventually. So, without further ado, the first click, we have a 2-color breathing pattern on the smaller mouse pad and a rapid flash on the larger mouse pad, a somewhat slower flash on the larger mouse pad while the smaller one is solid red. Now the larger mouse pad is solid lime green while the smaller one is solid blue. Now we've switched. The large one is blue and the small one is green. Looks like the small one is going for somewhat of a purple color as seen on the LEDs, and the large one may indeed be going for something similar or a light blue. Seems we have a white at the top and blue at the bottom. Something of a turquoise on the small mouse pad, while the large one is red. The small one has gone yellow, while the large one has gone for the aqua blue. Honestly, I have no idea what the small one is going for. Maybe light red? Whereas, we've definitely gone more of a yellow-green on the large one. Maybe I like this more than the other green, I don't know yet. The large one seems to be going for somewhat of a white or very light blue, and the smaller one is doing a gradient transition between two different colors around the edge of the pad. The smaller pad now has gone to a single color, slowly shifting to a different color, and the larger pad is going for something in the purple range. The smaller pad seems to just be blinking with a different color on each side, and the larger pad is in the orange/yellow range. The larger pad is back to breathing, so I can go ahead and take my hand away there, whereas the smaller pad seems to be doing a 2-color breathe while simultaneously flashing a red LED on one or both sides. Not gonna lie, that one's kind of weird. And now the small one is just off. Alright, so I've demonstrated the LED effects, but there's still one thing I want to talk about before I turn the lights back on. And that's the power of the LEDs themselves. Because as you can see here on the smaller pad, the LED doesn't exactly wrap all the way around if there's even a little bit of light. It's not totally dark in this room, there is a bit of sunlight, but even in pitch black, it doesn't make a huge difference. However, in the same room, the light makes it all the way around the large mouse pad, so I just thought that was noteworthy. Now, before I wrap things up, there are a couple more things I want to mention. First off, the large mouse pad comes with Bugha collector card number 4, and the company packaging everything up was kind enough to roll this card in the mouse pad itself. I think I'm going to have to place that under a heavy book for a few days. Next up, I want to mention that the size difference between these two is definitely something you want to take into consideration, because not every desk is going to have enough room for this big guy. In fact, my desk has a keyboard drawer that I typically keep everything in, and it doesn't fit. It's probably a good 6 inches wider than it really needs to be, whereas the smaller mouse pad does fit. And to be perfectly honest, the fact that the LED effect doesn't wrap all the way around doesn't bother me that much. I'm actually probably not even going to use it that often, if I even use it for a mouse at all, because the reason I I bought this is actually a whole heck of a lot nerdier than just being into PC games. The main reason I was so interested in this mouse pad was because I wanted to use it as a dice rolling mat. That's right, I'm a bit of a tabletop RPG nerd. And you're probably wondering why I need a mat like this one for rolling dice, and, well, I just so happen to have a few sets of metal dice, and that is going to wreck your table if you roll it without a mat. I also have a few sets of sharp-edged handcrafted dice, like these 90s Nickelodeon-themed dice I made in a previous video, and these will also potentially damage your table. I also wouldn't be caught dead rolling some of my vintage RPG dice without a mat, like this classic Holmes set, but that's less because they'll damage the table and more to do with the fact that the table will damage the dice. They were not made to last, and over the course of a year, they could turn into marbles. I got lucky and found a low mileage set for a price that probably no one will be able to guess. Now, if only Five Below would start selling dice again. Yes, that's right, I said again, because a couple years ago, I got quite a few dice from one of my local Five Below stores, though they were sold individually and not as a set, so hopefully they can remedy that in the not too distant future. And bonus points if they also start carrying their own random RPG books or box sets. And once again, that's not that far out of the question because several years ago they did have their own Cards Against Humanity knockoff. But enough about what I would love to see Five Below carrying. You're here to talk about the mousepads, not dice. At least not this time around. And so, in my opinion, I definitely think the large mousepad is worth the $10 asking price. I looked up similar models on Amazon, and you're going to be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 to $30 for one this size. Though, admittedly, there were a few on sale for around $17, but that is the exception, not the rule. As for the small one, I'm a little on the fence there. For $5, it is definitely a good grab, and as I've been saying, it does make a nice dice rolling mat for a low cost. But the fact that the LED effect doesn't actually cover the entire edge is making me hesitate in fully recommending it. However, if you don't have the desk space for this monster and you don't mind the fact that the LED effect doesn't wrap all the way around, I'd say pick it up. Once again, you're not going to be finding comparable products in this price range. For one around this size on Amazon, you're looking at $10 to $20 easy. So, on that note, until next time, this is your guy, Cly, signing off.